Scream, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Hills Have Eyes, and The Last House on the Left. These are just some of the movies that Wes Craven has given us over the past 30 years. We had actually already talked about doing a horror podcast in the future, but I'm actually pushing some of our podcasts back to bring this one to light due to the recent loss of the Hollywood icon. So before I let Clayton take the helm, Jonathan, is there anything that you want to say?
First of all, that was well said, Nick, and you're right. He is a Hollywood icon. You know, when I think of horror movies, I think of Alfred Hitchcock, John Carpenter, and Wes Craven as the rulers of that genre. You know, it'll be a long time before there's someone who can take up his mantle as the king of horror. It's a very sad day.
It is.
So, Clayton, you are, out of the three, I think, the biggest movie horror fan. Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
I think that's safe to say.
Give me an impact or the legacy Wes Craven left for you. Like, is he the reason why you got into horror movies? Is his horror movies, are they ranked? Because I don't really know too much. I can acknowledge his greatness by, like, the Screams and the Nightmare on Elm Street. But you know more about this genre than me. So, I'm just asking, what's his legacy to you as a movie director?
Okay, well, I guess I could say that he did have a huge impact on my life because the very first scary movie I ever watched was Scream.
Yeah, and you know, that movie I feel like is defined by the 90s. You know, that movie just screams 90s pop culture, and we were born in the 90s, so that would make sense.
Screams.
Yeah, obviously.
Wonder how they came up with the name.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I would say that was probably the main reason why. And then obviously, you know, I realized who was directing it, and then, you know, they made Scream 2 and Scream 3, and I watched all those, and then I just decided to watch all his other movies. I mean, you know, because Nightmare on Elm Street obviously came out before Scream, but I didn't watch Nightmare on Elm Street until afterwards.
Out of the movies that I listed, Clayton, have you seen all of them or just some of them? Any of them?
I've seen all the ones you listed. Yeah.
I have.
Going back to after I realized, you know, who Wes Craven was and stuff, watching the Scream movies, I went back and started watching some of his older movies. And, of course, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street being probably his most famous.
Sure.
And a lot of people don't know, but that is some huge movie star by the name of Johnny Depp's very first movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that, but...
How old was he? 14?
Doesn't he die? He dies in that, right?
Oh, yeah. Like, halfway through.
Yeah.
It's not a big role. He's just in it. Because he's a nobody.
Yeah.
He's not Johnny Depp. He's just Johnny Depp.
So, in a way, Wes Craven sort of took a chance on this young and up-and-comer. And he just...
Not even an up-and-comer if it's first movie,
yeah,
right?
Obviously, yeah.
Which he actually started on 21 Jump Street.
Mm-hmm.
But that was his actual first film role.
Yeah, I knew that. But yeah, I've always liked A Nightmare on Elm Street. I like the psychological aspect of it. Like, you are literally forcing yourself to stay up.
The first one is good.
Yeah.
The rest of them suck because Wes Craven only directed the first one.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of... And then somebody just took the shitty ball and ran with it.
Yeah.
Especially, what did you guys think about the new Nightmare on Elm Street random tangent?
No, it's not. No, it's good, but you can't really compare it because it's a reboot.
Yeah, A Nightmare on Elm Street was scarier at that time of the 80s than it would be like in 2013 or whenever it was released. It has Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy Krueger, which I thought that was very interesting.
And little fact for the trivia people out there, Jonathan, did you know how Wes Craven come up with the character of Freddy Krueger?
How?
I don't remember where I heard this at, but
it was in a dream.
It's not a big, it's not a big long story or nothing. It's just he said that he was asleep one night and he woke up and he said that he swears he saw a man standing outside of his window that had a burnt face and had a red and green sweater on.
Really?
With those brown pants and boots and all that, yeah.
Wow.
He said he saw that outside his window and he just thought of it. And then he come up with the whole child molester and all that different story and how the town, burning him alive inside that building or whatever. But yeah.
Well, can I tell you a movie that I feel like is very underrated in his filmography is Red Eye. Did you ever see that with Cillian Murphy and who's that? Rachel McAdams.
Theaters and seen that.
Really? Yeah, I liked it. It introduced me to Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, it is good.
So it's very breezy.
It's not your typical Wes Craven movie.
No.
You think of Wes Craven, you think of Scream. Like I said, Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, like a killer, like a slasher movie. But yeah, no, it's not your typical. Because it's more of a thriller. Yeah. And you think of Wes Craven, you think of horror.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure, I couldn't imagine back in I believe the first one's 84 or 85. I can't remember. Okay. But I couldn't imagine back then, growing up in the 80s, that would have been terrifying.
Good luck trying to go to sleep after seeing that movie for the first time.
And mad props to the legendary Robert Englund.
Yeah.
For playing Freddy.
Yeah, he was so,
no one else could have done that.
He's so good at it. He kind of got typecasted a little bit because he was just so good at playing Freddy Krueger.
He will always be known as Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just... why not? I'd take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd take being known as one of the, that's like one of the most famous killers in a
movie slasher horror movies.
Yeah.
Now, did Wes Craven direct the Scream sequels?
Yeah.
Did he? Okay.
He did.
Very cool.
He did.
Very cool.
The first one was directed by Wes Craven and written by Kevin Williamson. Then the second one was written and directed by the same people.
Yeah.
And then the third one was directed by Wes Craven but written by someone else.
Yeah.
And then I think his name was Aaron Kruger or something like that, which is kind of ironic.
Yeah.
But then they collaborated 11 years later to do the fourth one.
Yeah, I forgot there's a fourth
Wes Craven
one.
directed it, and Kevin Williamson came back and wrote it.
No way.
Yeah. So he did all of them.
Yeah.
There was talks of a fifth and sixth one, but it's been 4 years since the last one.
I thought that Scream mask is terrifying. It's not his scariest movie, but it's probably his most interesting.
When the first one came out. And that's when I watched it, when it came out to rent. For you kids out there that don't know what renting a movie is.
At the local Blockbuster?
No, at the local movie hut.
Oh, even worse.
Actually, the local Minute Mart.
Oh, shit.
That was just a little tribute to Wes Craven for, scaring the shit out of us for X amount of years, 30-something years. So we're still going to try to keep the topic on horror movies this time, guys. So we'll just keep it rolling from here.
Now, you know me, I'm not the biggest horror movie guy, but I will say probably the three scariest movies I've ever seen were The Exorcist, The Orphanage, and The Strangers. And the reason why I put The Exorcist on there, even though it's certainly the oldest movie out of the three, is because I seen that at a very young age. Too young.
That makes a difference.
Too young.
Well, if you're not 21, it's too young.
Yeah. So what about you, Clayton? What'd you think about the three movies that I mentioned?
What'd you say? The Exorcist?
The Exorcist, The Orphanage, and The Strangers.
Oh. Yeah. The Exorcist, I probably watched for the first time, maybe when I was about... Because obviously for the longest time, my mom didn't want me to watch it.
Yeah,
because
obviously. It's so graphic.
Yeah, it's very graphic with that pea soup. But, it's kind of very evil.
Yeah. And growing up in a religious family, yeah, you said it. It's very evil. We were not allowed to watch that sort of stuff.
How'd you manage that?
A certain relative of mine. Nana. No, it wasn't Nana.
But yeah, and The Exorcist, yeah, I probably didn't watch it for the first time till I was maybe 15 or 16 because I don't know the reason why, but I finally watched it.
Yeah. And
it's such a classic, and everybody's like, well, everybody's seen The Exorcist, blah blah. So I watched it, and yeah, it's even it maybe didn't scare me so much at that time.
Yeah.
It probably would have if I'd have watched it when I was little or when
Yeah.
it came out. But yeah, because it's like the very first exorcism movie.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it probably would have scared me, but I don't see it didn't scare me the time I watched it, but
You can see how it could scare somebody.
oh yeah, and
Yeah.
offend a lot of people as well,
Fuck yeah.
because it's very graphic and
It's dark. Very dark.
yeah, and
It's,
it could be like disrespectful. It could be
yeah, good point.
um
That's good.
'cause I mean it just depends on what your beliefs are
Yeah.
to how you would respond to it. But that's pretty much any movie about exorcism,
Yeah.
because you got your people where you either believe in it or you don't, and then you've got your people that you're religious or you're not. And if you're not religious, you're just gonna watch it as a scary movie. If you
Yeah.
are religious, you're gonna kind of critique the whole entire
Yeah.
thing, because you're gonna be like making sure that they're doing it all by the book
Yeah.
and doing it,
What
all
would Jesus
this.
have done?
Yeah. And
But
so
it's just something that they never really go into in Hollywood about being possessed at that. Because when was it? The 70s?
73.
73. My God.
I didn't know it was that old.
2 years ago.
Could you imagine seeing that in the 1970s? That movie probably was rated X. You know?
It was nominated for Best Picture. I mean, obviously it would have
Yeah.
been back then,
Yeah.
but because if Slumdog Millionaire can win, then obviously it needs to be nominated.
Mm.
But and Shakespeare in Love.
But so what about my other the other two?
Okay, yeah. I knew there was a point I needed to get back to. What was your other two? Strangers and Orphanage.
The Orphanage. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those two movies, we've talked about this before. Those, like you said, we've talked about this before, that you're not the biggest horror fan, but I can respect that you've seen at least the two scariest movies I've ever seen, I do believe.
Okay.
And they probably be in my top 5 of scariest movies ever that I've ever seen.
Well, like I said, my problem with horror movies is that I feel like it's. I'm not trying to knock on it now with the loss of a icon like Wes Craven, but I feel like horror, feeling scared is such like it's almost like a cheap thrill. There's not a lot of thought-provoking horror movies out there. And the thing that I loved about The Orphanage is that it was subtitled. There was like a certain mystery to it, because we had to read the subtitles. We couldn't just listen.
I could listen to it.
And I just feel like The Strangers is just fucking wild.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know?
It's also based on true events.
So yeah, that's what if it's based on a true event, it's naturally scary because it shows just what can happen.
See, and the thing, too, about horror movies is, especially slasher movies,
Yeah.
it's like,
Well, there is a difference.
you have to, yeah, we'll get into that later. You have to, like you said, you think there's not a lot of thought put into it, maybe about the story or
Yeah.
whatever, but it's like you can't put too much story into a horror movie, because then you lose the, violence and the killing, and that's what people watch for,
But I
and the scary parts.
I feel
You
like-
can't have a, I don't know what movie I'm trying to think of, but you can't have a deep story in a scary movie, because you're going to run your audience away.
Well, I'll tell you, a franchise that was extremely popular when it was out was the Saw movies. I was completely turned off by the extra violence, and I don't mind violence. Violence for the sake of violence, I'm fine with, I can handle. But it's just to the point where it was just laughable. Just all the excess amount of
Oh,
blood.
I agree. In
you know?
Saw,
Yeah.
definitely.
And I'm just thinking, how much...
Well, I've seen all 7, and I have them all, and I love them.
Like I said, the first one's fine. The second one's okay. That's all I've seen. But there's a point where you're thinking, guys, enough's enough. My brain is already stimulated enough from blood. You can't do anything else with blood that could scare me. It's the
But
stuff
the
that
thing-
we can't see that scares me.
But see, with you, I figured you love a good story and
Absolutely.
a good twist and a good all that. Okay,
Yeah.
Every single Saw movie, the end is a twist.
But here's the thing, though.
Because
It's so...
All 7 movies are one giant story.
But here's the thing. I can handle a good...
Fucking Star Wars. That's 7 movies.
We're not... 6 movies, but that's a different topic.
It should be 7 pieces of shit.
I just feel like, though, is that the plot... The plot twist and
the subject on me.
The plot twist in Saws are just so extreme. It's like the same thing with the grotesque violence. I'm like, enough's enough. I like subtlety as well. A good twist needs to be paid off by subtlety. A good twist only needs to be 8% of the movie. The rest of it needs to be story and leading up. So if it's a twist after what?
Give an example of what you're talking about. What kind of movie?
Just like a drama or a thriller.
I mean, do you not have a movie, a specific movie that has a twist like you're talking about?
Okay, we'll say like in.
I'm waiting to give somebody an example that doesn't understand.
Like in Fight Club, if it was just twist after twist after twist, I say enough's enough. But they let the story build, and you don't know what's coming because at every Saw sequel, you have an idea of what's coming. You know that there's gonna. If you watch,
there's a twist,
if you watch Saw 6 because Saw 5 there's a twist, you know that there's gonna be a twist in there somewhere. And I'm not. Like I said, the first one's fine. If they would have ended it on the first one, that would have been great. The second one's okay. The second one probably had a better twist, but it's just enough's enough. That genre's dying. The puzzle horror thriller genre or whatever you want to call it, it's dying. And that's what I liked about The Orphanage, and that's what I like about The Exorcist, is that you don't, for example, you don't see the demon themselves in The Exorcist. You see her latch onto the girl. I felt like it would have been cheesy if you would have just seen like a ghost just kind of enter through the nostrils, you know?
Well, that's any exorcism movie is there. It never shows a demon. It always just shows them possessed.
I feel like the movies that pretty much say more or less say, boo, be scared. I'm not scared. It's the things that you don't see. It's the work that gets put into the plot. Because if it's a cheap movie, I feel like I'm just not entertained and I'm not scared. So it's not that I don't like horrors. I just think that they're getting cheap.
And Jonathan wants some editing, transitions, music,
acting, you know.
I'm sorry that the Coen brothers don't direct the scary movies that I watch. They're hard to get a hold of.
Well, Guillermo del Toro, that was a super bad line. Guillermo del Toro is one of the most talented directors in Hollywood, and he can direct a horror movie. So
he can. His are kind of outlandishly, like with monsters and stuff like that.
Now, what was your
completely not even close to being real?
But it's also. But see,
that's why The Orphanage scared me, because I know it's about ghosts, but there are no monsters, there are no creatures, there are no lost worlds that are behind walls. It's all those little kids running around.
Well, here's the thing: Pan's Labyrinth. Some people might consider a horror movie. I see it as an adult fantasy.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider that a horror movie.
And there are some creepy-looking monsters, but that's not half of the story.
He directed Are You Afraid of the Dark? Or Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. Yeah. And that's just about these little monster-looking creature things that run around this house that these people buy. But see, I mean, it was a good movie. It's not. Nobody's scared of a monster underneath their bed or out of their closet.
And I also feel like no one's afraid of a wild man with a hatchet.
Yeah, but that's real. Do you know that's why I thought Scream was so
well, Scream is original because I feel like they acknowledge in a way that they're sort of in a movie. I thought that was kind of, it's not scary.
The big major difference between you got your, obviously you got your Freddys and your Michael Myers and your Jason Voorhees and your Chuckies and your Leatherfaces. The thing about that, which Leatherface, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is also one of the fucking scariest movies ever.
Yeah, that one's pretty good too.
And which I bought the original 1974 version on Blu-ray. And but anyways, the main difference between those and then like Scream is like, okay, Freddy's not a real person. He kills you in your dreams, and you can't kill him.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not even close to being real. obviously the first one was scary at its time because it was something new.
Yeah, sure.
And the jumps and stuff are what scared people. Because back in the day, it was easy to boo and scare people.
Yeah.
Now people have seen so much that they're hard to scare.
Yeah.
As far as just going boo and jumping in front of the thing. So, because, it's like you can only make so many, I will agree with you on this, you can only make so many scary movies that after a while, like me, I've seen so many scary movies that I'm waiting for everything to jump out. So it doesn't scare me when it does.
Well, your thing with Saw is that you've invested so many hours. Why not watch maybe one more movie to complete the story?
I liked them.
You liked them all through and
three
through?
of them in theaters.
Really?
The first one, I think the fourth one, and the last one.
Okay.
I loved how it ended. Because there was like a major twist.
Yeah?
At the very end of all of it.
Is Saw completely over? Is it done?
Yeah, it's been over for about 5 years now.
My mom loves Saw.
But I just loved it because you're not ever going to watch them, so spoiler alert. But it's like, at the end of each movie, you find out someone else that was involved in all of helping the main Jigsaw guy is what they call him.
Yeah.
Jigsaw killer, but Jigsaw is just, for short. But like you find out people that also help him. And then, you remember the first one?
Yeah.
Like I said, spoiler alert for anybody who's watching, so you better mute it or whatever. But the doctor that's in the first one that cuts his leg off,
Yeah.
at the end of the seventh one, you find out that he has been helping him ever since he cut his leg off. Kill all these people in every one of these movies.
Even in what happens in Saw 2?
Because, well, see, all this is explained in all the movies. It goes back and shows you, like, people that have helped, and then, like, it's the movies, the 7 movies themselves are like a jigsaw puzzle. Because you watch them, and it's like they took it's like you took a puzzle out and just dumped it on the floor. And as you're watching it, it gets put together for you.
Sure.
So that, ironically, is, kind of a good name for it, and the way the movie goes, but yeah, but what I was saying before is, like, about the Jasons and the Michael Myers and all that, it's like, okay, Jason can't be killed. That's not real.
No.
So that's not scary. The original Halloween was scary at first, the very first one, because obviously John Carpenter's legendary score.
Yeah.
The dun 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 dun. That Halloween. That's just
iconic. Yeah.
Yeah, and
that's up there with Jaws.
And I seen I read on or watched on a documentary that he said he was just standing at a piano one day and he just started playing those 3 notes.
Really?
Yeah, and he said that's just what started it. But anyways, that's scary or whatever, and obviously on the first one, he was just some big guy in a mask that was stalking this girl that was babysitting kids. And you're like, that's scary. Then after you realize that he gets killed, gets stabbed multiple times and all that, and then comes back for a second one, you're like, okay, well, he can't die, so that's not real.
Well, here's my question. Do you think the terrible sequels tarnish the originals?
No, because I think I think people respect the original. I have to give it to, like, Wes Craven for not directing any of the sequels. I have to give it to John Carpenter for not directing any of the Halloween sequels.
Sure.
Because, it's kind of like, okay, I did mine. There it is.
This is me telling the story.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And then if someone else wants to take a sequel, that's fine. Wes Craven did the sequels to, he did all the Scream movies, but it's like, oh, that window don't roll down from there. Then, you've got your Freddy, who his was just kind of, I guess, scary maybe to be a little different in the first one or whatever.
I just farted. I gotta open this door.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, thanks for,
I'm just airing out.
Thanks for...
Very professional, ass.
Thanks for the comic relief.
I tried to hold it
when
in.
I was in the middle of my fucking story. But anyways, way to make me lose my train of thought.
Oh, that's what I didn't want to do, and I couldn't
You were
help it.
talking about how Jason was.
Oh yeah, all those were not scary because I don't think any of the Friday the 13th are scary. And then, like I said, I explained the original Halloween. And Freddy, he's just kind of Nightmare on Elm Street. He's just kind of. It might have been scary back then because they're jumpy.
Yeah.
But obviously, from the beginning, he's not real. So
See, I think that's what's interesting about it.
You're obviously not. But people are more scared of real stuff than they are of not real
But here's
stuff.
the thing: I feel like people can't control their dreams. There's a certain mystery around
like
Freddy.
I said, we obviously weren't born in
Yeah.
1984,
No, you're right.
so
You're right.
that might have been scarier. But then, like the sequels just take it on a new meaning because the sequels are ridiculous. But anyways, then what I like about the Scream movies is, there's a ghost face killer in all of them, but it's a different person each movie because they're real people and they die at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
The protagonist of the movie kills the killer, movie's over. It's just in the next one someone else picks up where they left off trying to go after Neve Campbell, the main character. Okay, blah blah blah, she wins again, kills the killer. The next one, somebody else tries to come back. Maybe some people say they shouldn't have made 4 of them. Well, I'm just saying because they kind of veer off. The first one's obviously a classic just because, it's already 20 years old.
Yeah.
So it can be considered a classic.
Yeah.
And, and it was something different for its time because you had a killer who was talking to people on the phone. That's never been done before.
Yeah.
And telling them, I'm going to kill you. I'm right outside your front door. And they're still like, oh my God, what do I do? And they get killed. So, but it's like the main thing that I thought was good about Scream was, like I said, it was someone that was in a thing. Because someone can easily go out here and buy a mask, put on a suit, and kill people.
Yeah.
But at the end of the movie, they die, movie's over. It's only they made sequels because, someone else wanted to come along and try to kill Neve Campbell's character.
Yeah.
So what I think is most scary about Scream is because it could really happen.
Sure.
Someone cannot, like the Friday the 13th movie, someone cannot be blown up and then a mortician eats their heart and they come back to life.
Is that what happens?
Jason goes to hell.
Oh,
it's in that one. See, that's number 9, if that tells you anything.
Number 9?
There's 10 Friday the 13th. Plus the remake
Yeah, I was like,
from
what do you
2010.
think about these reboots of the movies?
Okay, the reboot was jumpy scary,
Yeah.
but obviously Jason, everybody knows his... By number fucking 11, everybody knows he's not going to die, so why the fuck are we still making these movies?
Do they twist the story to keep it relevant, or is it exactly the same?
It's the same.
Oh, fuck. Why would they do that?
It is the same. Jason Voorhees was made fun of at Camp Crystal Lake because he was weird and deformed, so the kids threw him in the lake. His mom found out, went back to that camp, killed all those kids that drowned him. He comes back from the dead. He starts killing people because one of those girls killed his mom.
Yeah.
Because she was a real person. She
Yeah.
wasn't. So obviously she died. But then he comes back to life for some reason. See, that's not scary at all.
No.
Okay, I'm going to throw something out there
Yeah.
that is terrifying. Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, that movie, the first one scared the fuck out of me in
Me too.
theaters. And that's part of the thing that scares me is that what you don't see scares you. It's the tease. It's the sense that something might happen, but maybe not. That's the whole mystery. Is what scared me.
The first movie the entire movie was teasing until the last, 5 minutes?
Yeah, well, another example is that I know the movie hasn't aged well and we weren't old enough to see when it was relevant, but the Blair Witch Project, you don't see any fucking monsters, but you
Don't even get me started.
Oh, it's the
Do you remember
it's the imagination with Blair
don't you
Witch
remember
Project.
how-
Worst movies of all time.
But don't you remember how scared that made people? Like
It was a big thing.
Yeah, fuck yeah, it was a big thing.
All it did to me, it may have scared me when I was 9 years old when it came out in 1999, but
I mean, it's not a good movie, but don't you realize that?
Because the only thing they do is keep you watching. Because nothing ever happens. But you're waiting for something to happen.
Well, that's what they kind of did with Paranormal Activity, and that scared the fuck out of me.
Stuff happens in that movie. People die, and you see figures and, people popping up and stuff like that, and stuff moving, and shadows on the wall and stuff like that. But Blair Witch Project literally never shows anything.
Okay, I'm not trying to defend the movie, but don't you realize, though, that was 99? That was unlike any other movie we'd seen at that time.
You realize, too, that when that movie came out in theaters, they said it was true story?
Really?
Yeah.
And then when it came out on DVD, they said, no, we got an alternate ending.
No way. Oh, that's bullshit.
Same way with Paranormal Activity. They said it was a true story, and then when it came out and it had an alternate fucking ending, everybody's like, you can't alter the ending of a true story.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Obviously. And also, how can it be a true story if there's sequels, right? There can't be.
When the first one came out.
Oh. What about,
When the first one came out in theaters, they said, based on a true story. That was the rumor going around. Then, when it came out on DVD, it was like, bam, plastered on the front, alternate ending. It's like, you can't alternate fucking truth.
Was the Blair Witch Project the first found footage film?
No, it wasn't. Because some people think that there's a certain movie called Cannibal Holocaust, which that's probably the most controversial movie ever made. Some people think.
Which Eli Roth is doing a movie towards that.
Yeah.
Called Green something. Or something green. I can't remember what the name of it is.
But some people believe that is one of the first, and that was like in the 60s or 70s. But I just feel like I said, I appreciate the subtlety in horror. I don't appreciate I don't really understand the whole popularity of the slasher films. But what did you think about what about the Amityville movies? Did you ever like those? The first one?
No.
No, you didn't like those?
They weren't scary. Not when I watched them.
No. Well, this thing, my mother loves horror movies, so she would try and get me to watch these movies, and I'd try and get her to watch the movies that I find scary, and she's never was interested. So what about The Strangers? That was the other movie that I talked about.
We got way off topic. We're coming back though. Yeah, Strangers. Yeah, that. I went and seen that in the theaters.
Really? Holy
Scared the shit out of me. I don't even remember who I went with, but I made them walk me to the fucking house.
No way.
Because nobody else was there at the house when I got home.
Yeah?
All the lights were off. I said, you walk me in that house or I'm not going in.
Did you also have them check the shower and underneath your bed?
The living shit out of me, because that is, first of all, could happen, and it was based on true events. Yeah. Screw that. Just 3 strangers just dressed in masks coming to kill you. And the biggest twist in that movie, and I think the scariest moment of that movie, is when Liv Tyler's character asks the people, why are you doing this? And you know what they say?
Because you're home.
Because you were home.
Yeah, that's fucking creepy.
That is fucking insane. Just because they happened to be at home, so it makes you wonder how many doors they knocked on till someone answered.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought about that.
That is fucking insane.
Yeah, I'll tell you another scary part for me was when you see, I think Liv, it's like a wide screenshot, right? And I think it's either Scott Speedman or Liv Tyler that's in the kitchen. All of a sudden you see that bag, that guy with the bag over his head is like in the background, and he's just watching her, and she has no idea.
The thing is, he walks through a door that was just padlocked by Liv Tyler.
Yeah, it's, cause it's one of those things where they already committed several crimes. Of course they're gonna kill you. You already know that you're fucking dead, and there's no compromising. But yeah, that's scary too. But I feel like I said, I feel like a good horror movie is like what about 7? I think.
Just one more point to make on this.
Okay, sure.
But it's like, the scariest thing is knowing after they said that, it's like you can't reason with them.
No, fuck no.
They're gonna fucking kill you because, like they said, because you were home.
Yeah.
You just happened to be home, so
We're gonna come kill
Yeah,
you.
we're gonna come kill you. We're just knocking on doors till
Yeah.
someone answers. And we're gonna kill them, just for the sport of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, 7.
Would you consider that movie a horror?
That's
No.
a psychological thriller.
See, I find that like I find those more interesting because they are psychological.
They make you think more. There's not much thinking to a scary movie except for who done it.
Yeah.
But see, that's one of my favorite things too about Scream is I love a whodunit movie.
Okay.
Like I love because you've got there's a killer. They're wearing a mask. Obviously, you can't see who they are. You know it's someone it's already showed.
Yeah.
And then they start leaving these little clues, and then at the end, here comes the mask, and you're like either what or I knew it.
You know what? It's so funny because the horror genre is so big right now. Because my mind is like scrambling to think of movies, and all I can think of are psychological thrillers like Zodiac. I would if someone was like, "Hey, what's a good horror movie?" I'd say, "Hey, watch Zodiac," because it's real. It's based on a true story, obviously.
It's not a horror movie, no.
But scary though. I know there's a difference. I know
there's a difference.
there is a difference. So it's just crazy just how wide that genre is.
Well, because technically, Finding Nemo could be scary if you're afraid of sharks.
Nemo could be scary if you're a clownfish.
Or if your name starts with Nemo.
And don't go by Netflix either, because about what's considered a horror movie, because they consider Scary Movie a horror movie.
Oh, the spoof movie?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
See, so I'm like, you can't.
No.
So don't be going by Netflix.
No.
It is a very wide topic that kind of just depends on how you view scary.
Yeah,
Put
that's
a
what
haunted house under horror movie.
And it's a spoof
The
as well.
spoof.
But you're right. That's all what it's about is just how one would define horror. Because if it's the sensation of being scared, maybe a horror, the general idea.
You just name me some movies, and I'll tell you just a few, and I'll tell you whether they're considered a horror movie or a scary movie, or maybe a thriller.
Okay, well obviously
Which a thriller could be a scary movie.
Obviously we talked about Zodiac and Seven.
Zodiac is a scary movie, not a horror movie. 7 is a psychological thriller.
Yeah. Okay. What about this might seem kind of off the wall, but Black Swan.
That's just a thriller.
See, I think I feel like.
How would that be a horror movie?
Because she just becomes so obsessed, she starts seeing things.
No, that's a thriller.
But I feel like if it keeps you on the edge of your seat, though, where you are ready.
Thrill. The word thrill is in it. It's not a scarer. It's a thriller.
Well, if you guys have watched, you'd understand why I would think that it would be a psychological, Well, she's like sickly skinny. Well, not sickly skinny, but she lost a lot of weight for that.
Yeah, because she's a ballerina.
Yeah.
Like me back in the day.
But it's all, like I said, there's a fan base pretty much for every subgenre in the horror genre. That's the reason why there's 7 Saws. There's like 5 Paranormal Activities.
You got horror movies. You got horror is the main genre. Then it breaks off. Then you could break it off into thrillers.
Yeah.
Scary, slasher.
Psychological terrors. Yeah.
It's just you just don't. And then you got your like comedy horror movies.
Yeah.
Where they are scary and people are getting killed, but they're funny. It's just they're not. They don't happen very often, but
well, like with with the list of movies that I would just say, I would almost say, No Country is a psychological thriller. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Because there's no laughing.
Because
There's
it's a
no
cat and mouse game.
Yeah. There's no joy in that movie at all.
No.
There
are maybe 1 or 2 things that Josh Brolin character says that you might get a little chuckle.
Maybe.
Like when he's talking to his wife and she says something to him and he says, "Keep it up, and I'm gonna take you in the back, screw you."
Yeah, no, that's pretty good.
But there's like 1 or 2 things like that.
But it's just the part
that you might be like, but then right after that, Anton Chigurh is just like shooting someone in the head with a cattle prod, and you're like, oh well.
Well, like I said,
never mind.
It's the part that makes you think about what a person could do to someone that they've never even met.
Just because they have their money.
Or just because they could.
Yeah. But he knew he had his money. was the main reason.
Well, just yeah, okay. Okay, what about like the Pinhead movies? Are those just I don't know.
Hellraiser?
Yeah, are they just worthless? I've never seen them.
I think again that goes into. I think the first Hellraiser was probably scary when it came out.
Yeah.
But they've made like 10 of them.
And
so
those I'm sure haven't aged as well. And a lot of these reboots, I feel like they're aiming for a younger cast or aiming for a younger audience, but it's the people who grew up when the original came out that say that's not as good. You know? Because how many times ever is the reboot better than the original?
Never anymore.
Almost never, yeah.
It's not very, very, very rare. Very rare.
Not especially. I can't think of a horror movie.
I can't even think of a horror movie.
So, it's just it's a tough genre to pull off. It kind of is because there's someone out there. There's that niche group that's gonna watch it no matter what because it is a franchise. But it's just to be sincerely scary. It takes a movie once every 4 or 5 years. It takes that special. And it's weird because it's no longer. I feel like it might not be scary the second viewing.
And that's the one difference maybe between horror and any other genre is like you go into it, you're writing it, the movie, and then you're directing it, and while you're acting it, it's like you can't know if it's scary until the audience watches it.
Yeah.
You could do all the jumping out and music sounds and all that till you're blue in the face, but you don't know if it scared anybody while you're making it. So all you can go on is hope we just scared I hope 15 people in the front row just shit their pants in the theater.
Well, what's the replay value, the review value of the horror movie? Like, if you watch a good horror movie a second time, are you still scared? Are people still scared? Some? Okay.
Strangers is one of those that every time I watch it, it creeps me out.
Which I haven't seen it since
the
first came out.
The first time scared me jumpy wise because I didn't know what was coming.
Yeah.
Now I know all the jumpy parts, so the jumpy parts don't scare me, but it still creeps me out knowing that could really happen.
Yeah. Especially, if you live in a wooded area, And
it's like too, you've got your obviously Halloween is played around the world on Halloween.
Yeah.
And on TV and stuff. All those scary movies are played on TV around Halloween time every year. And then you got your classics like Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Exorcist, Alien.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th. All those are played on TV all the time on the movie channels and stuff like that. And then you've got your people out there who have movie nights at their house.
Yeah.
You got married couples and dating couples that want to stay and watch a scary movie.
Yeah.
And it's just like most of the time they're probably going to pick one of the same ones.
Yeah.
Just because they know it's scary or they know, And sometimes you get the rare one that you watch, it scared you. Then by the time next time you watch it, you forget some of the parts, so it scares you again.
Yeah.
But there's I to this day am still into the very first Scream.
Really?
And I know almost every word of that movie.
Well, that's a nostalgia value too.
I could watch that. I couldn't do it. I'd have to watch it, but I could watch that movie and I could probably word for word repeat it.
Yeah.
I've seen it so many times. The original. Scream 1.
Yeah.
But I'm still like, I don't know. Some people just think that they're kind of funny because they just have kind of lost their touch.
It's at this point, it's almost a spoof on the whole slasher genre. It's the most self-realizing horror movie of all time, I feel like. And that's not a bad thing. It added freshness to a dying breed.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you a movie that I like because you can watch it both on Halloween and Christmas. The Nightmare Before Christmas. No, I like that movie.
It is a good movie.
I'm just kidding. It's not scary. It's not scary.
It scared me when I was little.
Yeah.
Tim Burton's a freak.
Well, you know what movie I thought was kind of creepy? Not sincerely creepy, but creepy for its rating. Was that Coraline movie?
Yeah.
I watched it. I was like, how is this movie PG?
Yeah, it was weird.
And Paranorman.
Yeah. You know, if I had a kid, my 8-year-old kid could watch Coraline according to the Motion Picture Ratings Association.
No, but it's weird.
Yeah, it's certainly weird.
The button eyes.
Yeah.
Scared the
But
shit
like the
out
very
of me.
first time the boogeyman down in the thing on Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
It scared the shit out of me.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
I
some
thought the boogeyman's coming down my damn chimney.
So it's just, there's some... And I feel like what makes those movies kind of scary is just how simple they look.
Oh yeah.
There's no special effects. There's no over-the-top...
Those are claymation.
Yeah. So they just add like a real simplicity to it that kind of... I just realized that we've just been talking about my movies, and this isn't even my genre. Clayton, what's your favorite horror movies? Give me 3, because I gave you 3.
3 of my favorite?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 1, obviously...
And are these ranked purposely?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
Number 1, obviously, is the original 1978 Halloween.
Okay.
That's a given. That's a given.
Yeah.
Directed by John Carpenter.
If you've listened to our last podcast.
Yep.
Yeah. It's obviously on my list. Like I said, just because back in that time, a guy could have went out here, escaped from a mental institution, put a mask on, and went after his sister.
Oh yeah, and they could escape the penitentiary. State penitentiary's not too far.
And he could have. That could easily happen.
Yeah.
Once he dies at the end of that movie, and they start a sequel, okay, he's fucking dead.
Yeah.
Starts a sequel. It ends it. But that one just to this day still scares me, the original one.
Well, what'd you think about the remake, which I like a lot more, the original 2007 Rob Zombie one? What'd you think about that one? You didn't like that one?
No.
No, I liked it. I thought it tried to add depth to
Rob Zombie.
Zombie completely. I feel like he just slapped John Carpenter in the face.
Oh, I just feel like he tried to add depth to a one-dimensional character, and I can respect that. Was it going to win any Oscars? No. But was it interesting to watch this person's point of view of an iconic monster that is Michael Myers? Yeah. I sure did. I thought it was good.
He put too much into Michael Myers.
I like that. I like that.
You need to know about Michael
Myers.
Myers
That he put too much.
Except that he escaped from a mental institution and he's after his sister because he's just fucking crazy. He doesn't have to have a backstory. You don't need a backstory when you're insane.
I like him having a backstory. I like how you literally see him get kind
It's
of...
completely made up. Because John Carpenter told you his backstory. He's crazy. He was in a mental institution. He went after his sister. That's it.
But he tried to make it more just of a mindless slasher movie.
Because half of the second one is...
Oh, I haven't seen the second one.
Half of the second one is nothing but him talking to his dead mom.
Yeah, I heard the second one. Shit, I didn't even watch that one.
The second one's horrible.
So what?
I did see the first Rob Zombie one in theaters.
So what's okay?
I've actually seen them both in theaters.
Since we got that out of the way, what's your second?
And by the way, the second one, the first 30 minutes is a fucking dream.
That's what I heard.
That girl is having.
That's what I heard.
Stupid. Okay, number 2, or not number 2, but my second one. Yeah. I guess second one would be Scream.
Yeah. We've already touched on that.
Yeah, we pretty much talked about those, and I'm sure you can see. I pretty much explained why.
Yeah, just because we were born in the '90s. That's all we need to know. You need to know that we're '90s kids.
And that a lot of times has to do with any movie list that you make of your favorites. Is when you were born.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of movies that lose their nostalgia when you watch them 20 years later.
That's why I only like movies from the 2000s.
Even though Star Wars Episode 4 is not from the 2000s.
Yeah, it's from like 1920.
Yeah, that's
just
true.
Fine with me.
Yeah. Anything but Star Wars.
1940, because it's not. It can't be older than The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. You know what I find fascinating about Wes Craven is that he brings a lot of star power to his roles, only for certain characters to be killed off immediately in the movie.
Yeah.
like a Drew Barrymore, a very young Drew Barrymore in Scream. She's just that like the dumb bimbo girl who just mindlessly gets killed.
The interesting thing about that I read about is, or heard about, and because obviously being a fan of Wes Craven and the Scream movies, I bought the original trilogy on Blu-ray.
Sure.
In a collection, and it came with a bonus disc. They talked about him making the movies and all that stuff. So they said that they brought Drew Barrymore in because Drew Barrymore was a movie star in the mid-90s.
Was that before or after Batman Forever, where she played that one Two-Faces girls?
What year was Batman Forever?
It was 94. So it was before. So she was real famous.
I mean, she was in that because, if I'm not mistaken, obviously E.T. when she was little.
Yeah.
That's what she's probably most famous for.
But yeah, no, she was one of the biggest actresses on the planet.
That's what I'm saying, and that's why she's on the front she was on the front poster for the theater. She was on the front of the poster, her face, and then underneath it they had the names. And her name was obviously on the marquee poster, saying, Neve Campbell, David Arquette, Courtney Cox, Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, okay, this is a movie star, and Drew Barrymore, directed by Wes Craven. She's the biggest star right now in the 90s.
Yeah.
It's got to be good.
Yeah.
The thing is, see, she come in and read Sydney's script, which is Neve Campbell's character, the main character, through all 4 movies. The whole thing the movies are based on. She read Neve Campbell's part, and she got it.
She got it.
All the way up till filming.
Yeah.
She had to back out of Neve Campbell's character because of a scheduling conflict.
No way. What was the scheduling conflict?
It was some other movie that she was having. It was conflicting with her schedule of doing. She wasn't going to be able to be in the entire movie.
Yeah.
So Wes Craven threw in Casey Becker.
Yeah.
Which is her character at the beginning of the movie, as
like an example of this.
An example, of
the guy's pattern.
Even the biggest star in the world, and and to see that you see her at the beginning of the movie, and you're like, okay, they done caught people right then.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, 6 minutes in, she's dead.
Yeah. And something like that would.
Major props to Wes Craven for putting, like the biggest star at that time, movie star, in the beginning of the movie and then killing her off.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Before the title of the movie even shows across the screen.
That's insane. I didn't know that. And the funny thing is though is that the fact that it had Drew Barrymore on the poster drew in a lot of money.
That's why they did that.
Yeah.
Because obviously they're going to use her to. I mean, she, like I said, I keep repeating, she was the biggest star at that time.
That's free advertisement.
Yeah. Wes Craven's no dummy.
No. He was doing this 20 years before that.
Yeah.
He's not stupid. He knows. I mean, look at Hills Have Eyes and Last House on the Left and Nightmare on Elm Street, and I mean, it's just he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good. I never thought about that. Wow.
But I just thought that was a fun story and fact, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm sure a lot of people didn't know that.
No.
This is my podcast, you sons of bitches. And
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
So that will be edited out of my podcast. And, so I guess my third one would. That's really hard to say because my third, to put it into 3, I guess Halloween
or
Scream.
Most impactful on your life.
Halloween, Scream. Man. That's a hard one.
It's almost like naming your favorite kid.
If I had more than 3 kids. Then that would be an impossible question. But oh man, because for me to be a horror fan and have seen so many, it's hard for me to pick 3.
See, that's why it was so easy for me. I knew right off the
Because
bat.
you've seen 3 fucking horror movies. Orphanage, Strangers, and Black fucking Swan.
No,
And Black Swan.
It was The Exorcist.
Oh, I'm sorry, The Exorcist.
I know that Black Swan's not a horror movie, man.
But so
Black fucking Swan.
so
God damn it.
man, I don't know. That's a really hard one to pick. To pick a third one. Because obviously Halloween and Scream are my 2 favorites.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just to pick one next. I just don't know.
Would it be something along the lines of The Strangers, or?
No, Strangers is not up there with my favorite. It's a
No?
good movie and I like to watch it, but it's not up there with my favorite.
Okay. And
Halloween, I watch the original Halloween every year on Halloween.
Okay.
I bought all 7 of them on Blu-ray.
Yeah, if you make a tradition out of a movie, that should be in your top 3.
And then Scream, I've watched. Like I said, it was the first scary movie I ever watched. Rented. My mom was like, "You want to watch a scary movie? Here you go." 1996 when it came out. I was 6 years old and I watched Scream, and that is pretty insane if you've seen the Scream movies. They're pretty gory.
Fuck yeah, they are.
Like they're crazy in the language in them for a 6-year-old. But anyways, and then, man, I can't pick a third one.
It's impossible, huh?
Yeah, it's impossible to
Okay.
put a third one up there. But I guess if I had to pick a third one, it might be the original 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Really? And
Yeah.
why is that?
Because that is another one of those that could be real.
Yeah.
Which is based on true events. It's not. And I heard that it didn't even happen in Texas, but it's just kind of... Which, fun fact for the trivia people out there, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Hannibal Lecter, well, actually not the movies, but the character Leatherface, the character Hannibal Lecter, the character Norman Bates in Psycho, and the I can't remember if there's another one or not, but all 3 of those characters are based off of a serial killer known as Ed Gein.
Yeah, absolutely. I know him.
Because he liked to eat people like Hannibal Lecter. He liked to wear women's clothing and people's faces like Leatherface, and he liked to
he was in love with his mother.
he had a weird thing about his mom,
Yeah.
like Norman Bates.
Yeah.
So yeah, all those are based off of which makes it even scarier.
Yeah.
You know, that it was based off of someone that really did this sick shit.
Which, okay, I'm gonna throw a movie out there, and you just say quick yes or no if you would consider this movie a horror movie.
Okay.
It's The Silence of the Lambs.
Yes.
Okay.
No. That is a psychological thriller.
Let's go
listen-
back to
listen.
movie 101 because I apparently don't know what a horror movie is.
Yeah, you need to go back to college and change careers. Take some movie classes.
Apparently.
But, because you're getting schooled right now.
God.
And, no, the reason it's a psychological thriller is because you have a cat and mouse between a cop trying to find a killer.
So anything that's cat and mouse is
It's a
not...
psychological thriller, yeah. Because, hence the psychological part.
God, I just find that so much more scary, though.
I didn't say it was less scary. I'm just saying
But
it does not qualify under a horror movie.
So there's rules for horror movies?
Yeah.
That if it doesn't follow, it's just simply not a horror movie.
What do you mean if it doesn't follow?
If it doesn't follow a specific set of guidelines, it's not considered a horror movie.
Keep asking and I'll tell you what movie and
Well,
why.
it's just you brought up Hannibal Lecter. I was like, oh man, that's a creepy movie.
I just brought up because his character is based off of it, and that movie's not even about him.
No.
Silence of the Lambs is not about Hannibal Lecter.
No.
All Jodie Foster's character does is go to Hannibal Lecter for help. That movie's not about him. What people think, and Anthony Hopkins won a fucking Oscar for playing Hannibal Lecter. That movie's not even fucking about Hannibal Lecter. He is in that movie 12 minutes, collectively.
Yeah.
in parts. How the fuck do you win an Oscar for 12 minutes?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Because and I
will give you a point to this. How can you win an Oscar for 12 minutes, scattered out through a
You're gonna bring up DiCaprio,
through a 2-hour movie when Leonardo DiCaprio could not even win an Oscar?
I knew it was coming.
Carrying a 3-hour movie.
I knew.
From minute to minute.
Are you talking about Django or Wolf?
Wolf.
Well, the reason why he didn't win is because your favorite actors won that year. I don't think he should have won.
I just gave mad props to your boyfriend, and you're like,
no, I know.
And you're like,
no, I watched a bunch of
Star Wars shit.
I watched a bunch of Wolf of Wall Street clips the other day on my day off, and I realized, man, he should have won.
Yeah,
he should have.
Me.
Don't know why. We're getting off topic.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
I'm gonna
that movie is not about Silence of the Lambs is not about Hannibal Lecter, so it is not considered a scary movie.
No.
So ask away.
Well,
I could do this all day long.
That just came up off the top of my head. No, I'm just gonna apparently just give you psychological thriller movies.
Because apparently you're terrified of psychological killers.
Well, yeah. Well, I just feel like what makes psychological thrillers, like what made Zodiac so scary, obviously it's based off a true story.
And it's about a serial killer, but, okay. There's a serial killer in that movie, but what makes it the difference between a horror movie and a psychological thriller is because it's about them trying to catch. There goes that cat and mouse thing I'm talking about.
I feel like because
that's literally a cat and mouse game because
but
the Zodiac killer is the cat and the cops are the mice.
Yeah.
Fucking 3 blind mice.
See, I just love it though because they're literally just scrambling for possible suspects.
But I'm not saying that psychological thrillers are not good. I'm saying what qualifies as a scary movie and what qualifies as a psychological thriller. So apparently this is scary / psychological thriller /
Star Wars. You're gonna fucking
what the
/
fuck ever.
Star Wars fucking
/ Star Wars shit.
So Tom and Jerry is a psychological thriller.
Exactly.
No.
I like it.
You know, that's a cartoon for
it's
children.
two against one, Clayton. Tom and Jerry is a psychological.
Fuck is my car?
That's based off true events.
No, you don't have to think about that because you know Tom is never catching Jerry.
So are we kind of wrapping it up? Are we done?
I could do this all fucking day.
Did you pause it?
No.
You been?
I told you I had to. I had to be led a little bit. You had to ask me questions to get me going.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of wrapping it up because I could talk all day about scary movies because that's my favorite genre. But so Jonathan doesn't get jealous of me hogging the mic.
Yeah.
I'll kind of wrap things up here. But overall, today's thing was about horror movies, and like Nick said at the beginning, we wanted to push this one ahead, which would have eventually been done in the coming weeks. But we wanted to push it ahead to pay tribute to the legendary director, Wes Craven, who obviously is, you think of horror movies, you think of Wes Craven. But we just wanted to push this ahead to kind of pay tribute.
Absolutely.
So people know. And if you've never seen a Wes Craven movie, go out there and watch them, and you'll see why. So I just want to say thank everybody for listening, and rest in peace, Wes Craven.
Yeah, thank you, Wes Craven.
Thank you, Mr. Craven. Do you guys have, Jonathan, do you have anything to add?
No, Clayton said it great. The guy's a legend. Rest in peace.
All right, well, this has been our horror podcast. It's almost more of a how you view horror.
Yeah.
As well. And a tribute. So, again, rest in peace, and we will see you guys next week.